Welcome back to Holy Banter. This is Christina Steele.
And I'm Annie Sweeney.
And we have here today with us Kim Marks, who has been coming to daily mass here for years, very active in our parish. And we have her here to hear her story of faith and how God has worked in her life. So welcome, Kim.
Welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were just kind of chatting before the podcast and can't wait to hear what you have in store for us today. So kind of tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from and...
Yeah, my background is I grew up in Michigan City, Indiana, northern Indiana, suburb of Chicago. Grew up Catholic, cradle Catholic, Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, and then Catholic college here in Indianapolis at Marian, and loved that. And then worked, graduated, got a great job, Allison Gas Turbine at the time. I met my husband there years later. And then when we got married, 95, and then when we had our first child, I stayed home, became a stay-at-home mom, and loved that, loved every minute of it. So for 18 years, I was a stay-at-home mom. And then it was very important to me, going to Mass on Sunday. The Eucharist, always had a sense of respect for the Eucharist. But when the kids were all in school, my youngest was in second grade at the time. And I remember sitting in church after a school mass, all the lights were out, and just sitting there thinking, okay, now what? I have some time now, and like, now what? And I just sat there thinking, I want to know God better. I want to know God. You kind of think, yeah, I know Jesus, but you don't really know him. Like, I was sitting there thinking, I want what the saints have, and I know I don't have that. And like, how can I get that? Is it possible? And so on my own, I kind of made a commitment to God through prayer. And I said, every day I'm just going to try to encounter, I'm going to be out there, and I'm going to just, seek you out there. And so I did that for, it seemed like 9 months. It seemed like a while. And I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere with that. And so then I went to confession to our priest. And I said, "What do you have a secret prayer? Do the priests have a secret prayer they say to get closer to God?" And he kind of smiled and he said, "Say the rosary every day with the intention of growing closer to God, drawing near to God." Like, oh, okay, I know how to say the rosary. I thought that's doable. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that, and within, I want to say, a month or 2 months, I was asked then to be the sacristan of our parish. And I thought, and so that, I want to say that's where it started, but it was already starting with God. But
So you mean like you always had kind of a faith, but
yes.
growing up.
Yeah, but I didn't even know what a sacristan was. And
Yeah. Well, what is a
a
sacristan?
sacristan, it's pretty cool, actually. Behind the scenes person, getting everything ready for the beautiful mass. The linens, the candles, they're responsible for like the ordering of, the wine that's used. Just having everything ready, prepared for the mass, and to learn about the mass.
Mhm.
And it was just really a great job. And it was me, because it was like nobody knew,
Mhm.
I would come in like the kids were in school, and it was perfect. So I did that. But then within a short time, there was something, I think we all have something in our life that's personal that you think, God, you're just going to have to help me with this. And it was at that time, it was like he was making known, like, okay, we're going to address this now. And I just started sensing like coincidences, and like, wow, are you really there? You're really paying attention to me? And from then I knew there was something going on in my head, and I thought, this is silly, but I felt like something happened where God was saying, you're walking with evil and you don't even know it. Just something going on in my head. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I want to walk a different path. I want to walk your way, Lord. I want to go your way. And so I started going to daily mass, wherever I could find a daily mass. So 2011, I started coming here. And then, of course, at the kids' school at St. Monica, I would go to mass there. And then I started going to confession monthly for sure. And it was just, this getting to know God. And then as sacristan, I was being trained by the prior sacristan, and she had an encounter with Christ a couple of years before, and she was on fire for the faith. So she had all this neat stuff to share. And we did the Great Adventure, Jeff Caven's
Yeah, the
Great
Great
Adventure.
Adventure
She
Bible.
headed that at the church for moms who drop their kids off and come do the Great Adventure.
Yeah, the 24-week Bible timeline. Yeah.
Yes, it was wonderful scripture. And Jeff Caven says you will find yourself in that story. And that's exactly what I needed. Like, I was on this path. How do I do this? I don't trust me. And that was when Mother Mary got involved. St. Alphonsus got involved. So then the Great Adventure was the whole scripture thing. I never really, like the Old Testament, when that was read at Mass, it was like, oh, let's get to the New Testament. But I learned so much through that. And he said, you're going to see yourself in the story with God. And there were certain things that would just touch my heart. I'm in that story. Like, I felt like I was David. I didn't realize that it was about covenants and God wanting to know his people. And starting with Adam and Eve, and then Noah, and then Abraham, and it was like, and then with Moses, he got more personal because Moses said, what is your name? And it got more personal. Then it got really more personal with David. And then it's almost like David is saying, wait, there's something bigger coming. And then when Jesus Christ himself came, one of the funniest things, so with the Great Adventure, we discussed it after, and one of the moms said, it's almost like God saying to his people, don't make me come down there.
That's a great
don't make
line.
me pull over this car.
And I just thought, that's it.
That's hysterical.
And he shows us how to do it. This is how
Amen.
you do it.
Thank God.
He established his church, and he's given us, this is how you do it. And it's like, oh my gosh, why did I never know this? And so it was at that time, too, the Eucharist. The Eucharist really had a huge impact on me. Like on the fourth cup, I just love
the fourth
Eucharist.
cup, which is a book written by Scott Hahn, all about the Last Supper and the connections of the Passover, and it's a very beautiful.
And then I read the book, Dr. Brant Petrie.
Oh,
The Jewish
Roots of the Eucharist.
That one.
That's a great one too.
I would recommend. It's very readable.
Yeah, he's very approachable.
It was. When I got through with that one, I said, I think this is my favorite book.
What about the Eucharist that really touched your heart?
Oh my goodness. Just that history. Oh my gosh, it's so much more than what I ever knew. There's a whole history. It was that Passover, with Moses. He wanted to get God's people out so they could worship him. And that they left the whole Exodus. The whole Exodus was that meal, the Passover meal. And so basically what the Jewish people celebrate every year, the Passover, we celebrate daily in the Mass. And we have that. And it just struck me, and I wanted to share with everyone. It was kind of funny. My kids were great. They listened. They were like, okay, they were wonderful. But like if I said it to, I was in a small group at the time, and I feel like they didn't. It's all timing and how God grabs you, and
it's hard when you're excited about something and other people aren't as excited as you are.
Yeah, and I get that, because like somebody will give me a book and I set it aside. And I get to it 3 or 5 years later and like, wow, that was really good.
Yeah. Well, it is the greatest. It is our greatest life adventure, is learning about God, where you're ready for certain knowledge and it's blowing your mind. It might fall kind of flat on somebody else, but it is truly life's greatest adventure when you are ready to learn, and he's right there and he's giving you all the stuff. It's the best.
More of it.
Yeah, you do.
And then you're like, well, this is kind of fun,
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
And then even having my mentor, like we would share things like, wow, and the scriptures, in daily Mass, it's almost like
it comes to life.
It comes to life. You feel like, is
for
that
sure
just for me?
Is anybody else seeing this?
I know.
That's right. It is very much that feeling. I just yesterday was looking how beautiful the day was yesterday. We've got snow on the ground. It's frigid, but it's a beautiful sky. It's blue. There's some, swirliness in the clouds, and I'm pumping gas and I'm looking all around me, marveling at the magnificence and just the just the vastness of it all and how huge it is and how powerful it all is. And I'm daydreaming about this. And then I come back to, and then he whispers just to me. What a wonderful mystery to always have with us and to always continually be able to peel back. And that's what I feel like that you're talking about, because you had grown up Catholic, but then all of a sudden, and you're satiated in this Catholicism, but you wanted more. You wanted more of a connection.
That relationship.
Oh, yeah, man, that's the stuff. So I met you, Kim, at the Advent retreat that Christina and Emily Miner spearheaded and put together at the beginning of Advent. It was so cozy and lovely. Hopefully you guys will have it next year.
Yeah.
For those that didn't come this year, but you sat at my table, and that's when I met you. There was a moment where Emily encouraged all of us to stand up or just say our name and then why we came to the retreat. What was it that you said? Why did you come to the Advent retreat?
I think it was a really good way to spend my morning. That's what it was. It just felt
And
like
it was
good to be there.
It really was. It was perfect.
It was perfect.
It really was. Everything that was said, the women that shared, there's such wisdom and beauty and connection. It felt safe. It felt loving, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And to hear the stories, like there's been pain in people, we go through this pain. And that's where my go-to is like, instead of running to a friend on the phone or running to my husband, I just run to God. Go run up to my room and get on my knees.
Have you always been that way, or did you learn that?
I have. I remember as a kid once in grade school, someone made fun of me for it. We got to every week, one of the kids in science class, over the weekend, you got to take the mice home or whatever. And I wanted to take them home, and I got under your table. I was real tiny. Got under your table and I started praying on my knees, Jesus, please, please, And then the science teacher saw me. She goes, of course you can take them. One of the bullies in the class made fun of me. It's one of those things you'll never forget. But it was kind of in me, I want to say, just to like, Lord, help me, So I think that's key here too, that docile spirit. That's what I've learned over and over, how important humility is to God. That openness, that docile spirit. I think so many times we think we got it figured out. We become like our own God, so to speak. He just says, come to me. You may not understand everything, but just come to me. That's where it's at.
So it sounds like when you got on fire about your faith, where did that lead you after that God moment?
So just kept me, wanting more, learning more. I felt like I was learning more. Now what do you want me to do, God? And then my daughter, I have 3 wonderful kids, and they're all in their 20s now. When she was in high school, she embraced anorexia. I'm not sure how to word that, and so that was like a 6 to 7 year. We're still not sure we're out of it, but we're really hopeful and going forward. But that brought me to my knees many times. The doctors saying how bad it was, and for everybody watching, she seemed normal. She seemed awfully thin, but normal. But there was a lot going on that people don't see.
How did that start for her, that anorexia?
It was a high school, wanting to eat healthy combination. She'll say it's, how people look at you. People, thin was good. And she was always little. She was always the tiny one. And then when she started losing weight, it was obvious. It's almost like accepting a scam call and then not knowing how to get out of it, because then her body started deteriorating and then it takes over. So God was taking us through this, our whole family.
How long did it take you to realize she had anorexia?
So I knew, she wanted to take her own lunches, and I knew something was going on, and then I could see it. Like, what's going on? She's losing weight. And then, so I would say that took maybe a couple months, and then took her to the doctor. And they said, well, you're making her tense and nervous about this eating thing. And so then a couple of months, she lost 8 more pounds, and that was hard. And so we went to the anorexia specialist instead. And so that went on for years, to therapy. And
were you ever angry with God going through this?
So here's the thing. When somebody says that, I think, how could I be angry with God? You can't. For me, it's like never being angry with him. It was about, okay, how are we going to get through this? Like, you're going to take care of her, right, God? Like that thing, the trust in God. That's the one I realized, "Oh, I don't have an issue with that." I'd had an issue with that.
Mhm.
Brother Travis told me about the litany of trust,
Mhm.
and I read that daily, and it's so true. Just when you think, "Oh, I'm good with that," good, no, no, it's another day has come, and I'm not trusting here.
So how did that impact your faith going through that?
It was that whole surrender.
Mhm.
And part of my morning routine is I say that surrender novena. It's a novena,
Oh,
but I say it
yeah.
daily.
The whole thing?
Yeah, just the one day,
Yeah,
the
yeah, you
day
do each
one,
one, yeah, and then
day
keep
two.
repeating it.
Yeah, it's abandonment, Lord. I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. But there's a prayer each day.
Yep,
Mhm.
I have that one
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So I
Mhm.
highly recommend that because that got me through.
Mhm.
Because each day it was almost like he's talking to you, like, "Will you
Sure.
just hold on, hang on to me?
Yeah.
This is what you do."
Yeah.
And then when it said, "Don't trust in human intervention," I'm like, "I'm doing that." And he's like, "It's not." He's not saying you can't do
Yeah.
that, but he said, "You just trust in me." And then when I found I was trusting, when we had to take her to the recovery center, which was hard, I just will always remember one of the days we walked into Chicago through the streets. It was during the summer to go see her. We were clearly like, I felt we were on a mission. It's just like I felt courageous, felt like God was with us. And it was a good visit. And she was getting better, but she wanted to get out of there.
Mhm.
So it was always trust, just that quiet trust and always hopeful, even if it doesn't turn out the way you want.
Mhm.
Say if something bad happens and she's gone, you'll know she's with God. And
Mhm.
as my human weakness, I know that would be very hard for me, but I trusted, just trusted in him. And so she's much better, but she's still struggling in her head. And I know with addictions, it's, a tough road. So I just know that with God, he's got my back. He's got our back as a family. And he's my go-to. Yeah.
Kim, did this journey ever make you question your mothering?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Where did I go wrong? You know what? With God, you don't look back to the past. He's so merciful and going forward. He gives you more chances and more opportunities. He just does that. This life of faith, honestly, this is where it's at.
How was that for your husband going through that?
The anorexia,
Mhm.
he was stronger. Us working together, that was so key. Because I was thinking, I bet this can tear marriages apart.
Oh, sure.
But this, when you work together,
Yeah.
and it's not always good cop, bad copy. And we worked together and prayed and just wanting to do the right thing. I bring that up because I know people go through things. There's
Mhm.
people that go through things and you don't know what people are going through.
Mhm.
And then in the human weakness, you can go down bad alleys in your head. And what always pulls me out of that is I have faith. I've been given this faith. And those graces, honestly, from the Eucharist, the graces from going to confession, those graces of being consecrated to Mother Mary, it's just the rosary, all of it. I feel like this year, 2025, has been my year of, okay, you got to be
Well,
courageous.
you shared with me a really lovely story about kind of surrendering to Mother Mary when you went on the pilgrimage last year to Our Lady of
Oh,
Champion.
yeah. So Champion, Wisconsin, when we
Mhm.
went on that pilgrimage in
In
2024,
2024,
and,
yeah.
and my daughter was with me. Her name's Rachel. We went, and it was a great pilgrimage. And I was hopeful. It was the only approved apparition site of Mother Mary. And I was asking, I'm like, okay, Rachel's right here. Can you help her? Or can you get her out of this? People I think go there you want a miracle. And I know
Sure.
I thought, God, you can do this anytime. You can
Oh,
fix
yeah.
her,
Oh.
but what I've learned with God, he so wants us to participate with him.
Oh.
And that can be hard.
Mm.
Okay, you want me to participate with you. So on this champion trip, everything was beautiful, how it was all laid out. And then Rachel got to go to confession. Mom, I had a great confession. Then went right into the mass. The mass was beautiful. And I remember looking at one of the stations of the cross was right where we were sitting. And Jesus had this look of like pity, like he's so sorrowful. And I thought, Lord, are you going to help her? And so we went on, and I asked for that, and I said, you know, I, w- it doesn't have to be a grand miracle, but please, just Mother Mary, bring us something. And so from that first trip, courage was on my mind. So that was late 2024. And so I just feel like I did some things that it took courage, like getting Rachel the help she really needed. I couldn't wait to go back again in 2025. I was assuming there was going to be another trip. And then when it came up, I was like, I'm going. And in that trip, it was all Thanksgiving. So that a miracle, I don't know necessarily didn't happen in 2024, but Mother Mary was on it for me. And just in my spiritual life too, just being more trusting of God, being more courageous. And then even to the point of, I was asked to teach religious ed at St. Michael's, and I'm like, that's courageous. Okay, I'll do it. And so I'm doing that. And then some silly things like I installed a backsplash in my kitchen.
Tell that story.
You know, because I thought, okay, that's courage because it's a big project. I've wanted, and my husband always did the projects. And anyway, and that ended up, I watched some YouTube videos. I feel like there was a spiritual thing going on with this stupid backsplash.
It's funny.
You know?
Well, you're getting outside your comfort zone.
Yeah,
in ways
way
that,
out.
for God, that bring you a little bit of joy. That's
So they bought a
wet saw. My
wet
husband
saw.
bought a wet saw for me for our 30th. We joke, it was our 30th anniversary gift.
so romantic.
And he set it up in the garage and had it ready to go. And I watched the videos.
Fingers.
I didn't lose any fingers. I thought I'm going to fall. Because I had to get up high in some places. But I didn't want to fall. Yeah, that was a big thing. Or electrocute it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there were 7 outlets I had to get around. And that had me up all night one night. How am I going to get around these outlets? But the whole time, before I started each day, I pray to Mother Mary, and I have a big picture of her in the room, and it has a clear view to the kitchen. And I look over at her, and I'd say, you're going to have to help me with this because I don't know what I'm doing. And I knew she was with me because she's done that before with any kind of little project, like a sewing project or anything around the house. I would say, Mother Mary, will you please help me? And I'm telling you, I look at that now, you stand back and it's like, she helped me with this. I'm just very happy with it.
Very cool.
In that too, just got rid of some self-pity because I was like, by the 6th day, I was like, oh my gosh.
And on the 7th day, you rested.
I did. I finished on All Saints Day. It was a Saturday.
That's awesome.
And then Sunday kind of celebrated. It's done. And it's good.
It is
finished. That's my little spiritual story.
You worked at Marian because you thought about your children's college.
Yeah.
Were you anticipating, hoping that they would go to Marian?
Yeah. And I found out, I got the job and they said, tuition's covered when you work there.
Wow.
Thank you, God.
Right?
Yeah.
So what did you do there?
So I worked in financial aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between when and when?
So I started in 2016 and then I retired in the end of 2022.
And did any of your kids go to Marian?
Yes.
Yes.
So my boys both graduated undergrad with Marian.
Amazing.
And then my daughter went 2 years and then she wanted to move on to IUPUI. But no, Marian, I went to Marian. It was good. Yeah. So, but the way God, in his goodness, our office, the financial aid office, was just down the hall from the chapel.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Were you in the Marian Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would run to that chapel.
Oh.
I would.
What a perk.
It was wonderful just because it was hard learning. There's a lot to learn, a lot to learn. And it was just a walk with God, a walk with my Mother Mary, because I put up a picture in my office of her, and from then on, things kind of went smoothly. And I would run to that chapel, and I'm tied to the San Damiano cross. It has an actual corpus on it, which you don't see very often. It's usually painted on, but this one has an actual corpus. And when you go in there and it's dark and you look at his eyes, it's like he's just looking right at your heart. It just melts you. So, yeah.
Very cool. Really appreciate and admire how enthralled you are about all the little details of our faith. And it seems like you've just kind of been drawn to so many different types of holy moments. And that I feel like it's made you very childlike.
But then isn't that what Christ always calls us to be?
Yes.
And then I know, like with my own kids or the religious ed kids, it's like they want to hear it. They're open to it. They're docile. And that's what he wants of us, no matter our age or no matter what we're going through. We have to get out of, we can control things. And he wants us to come to him. And that's where he just makes things happen. And I'm telling you, there's no better life. That's what I just want to say that. It's wonderful.
What made you retire in 2022?
So at that time, like there were changes going on in the office, and my daughter was not getting better with the
Mm.
anorexia at all. I was finding things out, which told me. Now, my husband, he was so good. He said, you can leave. I just thought, I need to just be home.
Mm.
I just want to be home. My heart
Mm.
was screaming, I want to be home.
Mm.
And so,
Mhm.
so it was time to just devote my life back to my family.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it just was wonderful to have that time. First thing, I got to go to daily mass again. Before at Marin, I had to find, okay, here's a mass here, here's a
Mhm.
mass here, but I got to go to daily mass, and that sets my day. And then I feel like everything is ordered beyond that. And
Mm. Yeah.
then just things started happening. My son got his own place, and I was able to help. Yeah, and
Nesting.
he let me like make his place look good.
Sweet. Where is he?
So he's here in Indy.
Okay.
He's working, but he's like 7 miles from us. And so, he just let me do that.
I love that.
And I still made it for a guy, it's not all girly.
Sure.
But yeah, it was just, and I remember playing Litany of the Saints because it was All Saints Day again that I was in there working on that. And I love the Litany of the Saints. And I just thought, God, be here in this home for my son. Please be here.
What a blessing you are to your family.
Well, I
you
hope
are
so.
you were just getting them all to heaven.
I hope so. We all want that.
We
don't
sure do.
we? And our husbands, get
Yeah.
them to heaven, get us to heaven.
Yeah, it wasn't until maybe, it was when we had mom's group here, and it's like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. This is true. We were kind of like finishing with one of our mom's groups, and a handful of us were standing around talking and just kind of laughing about our husbands, this and that. Jen was sharing a story about her husband, and it was so funny and so outrageous and adorable. And she was like, telling him like, hey, you gotta keep it in line. I'm trying to get you to heaven. And I said, oh, I've never heard that before. And she was like, yeah, we're trying to get our spouses to heaven. That's what our purpose is.
You might make you rethink who
Responsibility.
you're marrying.
And they, in turn, are getting you to heaven,
Christina.
Because it's a two-way
Yes.
street.
Sure.
So, you got Rachel kind of on her way, and you have this free time now. And I know you said you're volunteering to do religious ed, which was kind of a intimidating for you, but
Yes.
you've enjoyed that.
Yes.
What
and
grade?
It's 5th and 6th graders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
At St. Michael? Or
St.
is it?
Michael's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's involved in 3 different parishes.
Yeah, God'll place me where he wants me. But yeah, I have, St. Michael's, like I said, I would go to mass there and confession. And I got my heart there too. I did the Reach More. Reach More was a program here
Yeah.
that Christine had invited me to be a part of. And it's like, I think it's those like you sense like they have their faith and now like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And it helped me a lot. It was a 12-week program.
Yep, 12 weeks. And it's really just teaching you, exactly what you said. If you have a strong faith and you just are not sure what to do with it, it kind of helps you discern and gain skills on how to
Do you do this at home? Are you on
No,
campus?
It's here. You meet as a group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Once a week?
It's for 12 weeks, once a week, and it's for about an hour and a half. And there's videos and discussion and some practical experience. But some of it's learning to pray with people, how to be a better listener, how to accompany people, how to share your story, how to build relationships with people. Really, what I say is like it's training you how to be a layperson, like on mission in the world. Because a lot of us don't realize what that mission
What
is.
exactly is a layperson?
Layperson is basically not someone who has holy orders or is like religious. So anyone who's not a nun, a monk, or a priest or a deacon,
Okay.
you're a layperson.
Okay.
So all of us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the whole thing of like, it's not just the priests and the religious that are called to be holy and to evangelize. We all are. And we're all called to disciple
Is
other
it the
people.
same term as a disciple?
Well, disciple would be someone who's out. Yeah, I mean, one of the things you do as a disciple is evangelize other people.
Right.
So, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of one of the skills you learn. So it's kind of teaching you all those things.
And I mean, I'm doing other things behind the scenes, but I want to have that time. Christine and I had talked about this, about just slowing down, taking the time. And what I'm finding, I'm having more meaningful conversations with people that I didn't expect going into it. And say, I'm going to have a meaningful conversation. It's not like that, but they end up being very
Mhm.
deep and meaningful.
Because of this process that you went through?
That's what I mean. Think it's got to be. It's connected to that. It's like I'm feeling mentally maybe more equipped
Or
or
more
like
aware.
more aware or focused. Like, and what I liked
That
about the
sounds
program,
nice.
it wasn't like now you have to start
Mhm.
this small group or it's not like that. It's like, okay, now God, where are you going to place me, and how can I grow in this?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it.
Mhm.
So, and it's not to make you all busy again. You know, we
People are called to be in the world. Like that's
Mhm.
part of secular means being in the world. We're called to be in the world because the Father's not at, you know, at Eli Lilly, we're working where my husband works, and he's not at the school where our kids go to school. Like we are there. And so we're the ones bringing Christ to these people. So it's our responsibility to, and one of the terms is sanctify your daily life. How are you sanctifying your daily life? And how it's not something that you have to like add to your schedule. It's just like what conversations are you having or listening to people and maybe inviting them to mass with you one day if and learning about where people are in their relationship with the Lord and how you can kind of help accompany them and maybe pick one or two people in your life that you feel God's calling you to. It doesn't have to be 400 people or because it's those relationships that are going to be more impactful than these large events.
In my mind, it feels like you're packing a bag with all of the right things to
Mhm.
go out into the
Yeah,
world.
exactly.
Right? You packing the right tools, the right
Yeah.
equipment.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
equipping you with those.
And will this be something that we do again next year?
Yeah, my goal is to do it every fall.
Nice.
Yeah, and so it's really supposed to be no more than 12 people, which we only had 4 because I invited people who just were too busy, and that was a lot just with
4
4.
was?
Well, because the leadership meets with them one-on-one 5 times to kind of touch base
Oh
and
my gosh.
because it's about discernment and helping accompany you as you discern how the Lord's calling you in your day-to-day life to serve him.
Yeah.
But again, it's not about adding things. It's about in the things you already do. Like,
I would like that, I think.
yeah, I think you would
like
love
that.
it.
Yeah.
It's a great program.
It seems like it's something that maybe strips you of yourself, your own expectations of like what you think that you have to be.
Mhm.
Am I hearing that?
Yes. And what we learn about is listening, really listening rather than being ready with your next question, just listening. And maybe that's what it is. I'm getting better, hopefully, at listening. And then they go maybe deeper. And then we talk about that.
When I remember you also talking, it kind of made you more aware of you don't always have to jump right about like talking about God. Like it can just be taking time to build these relationships and then wait for them to ask you about God.
Right.
Yeah.
Meet them where they're at.
Yeah, meet them where they're at.
Yeah, because many are fallen away, Catholics and so they don't want to hear, you need to go to mass, which you do need to go to mass. But yeah, but to just kind of like make them think about, just to someone cares and someone's pulling, those heartstrings. And then who knows where that can lead with God.
So what are kind of the next steps for you, do you think?
And the next step, so I love the
After daily
liturgy.
mass, of course.
I know the liturgy. Well, last thing about the liturgy, and I'm sure I've heard this from either Scott Hahn or Bishop Barron, but they said the first liturgy was really Emmaus, that road to Emmaus. Where the 2 disciples were walking with Jesus, they didn't know it, and he opened up Scripture to them. So that's like liturgy of the Word, and then it was in the breaking of the bread, the Eucharist, that they recognized him, and then he left. So that he said it's like the first mass. Jesus, he's so humble in this host that he's with you always, and that's where he is. And we need that because we are weak, and we need him with us, nourishing us. It's going to mass is, for me, the highest form of worship, the highest form of prayer. We start out with the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, just like we do our prayers. And it's like, how can I not do that? If it's available, it's where I want to be. And then it does. It just sets the day. It makes everything better.
That's lovely.
So that's what I just wanted to make sure. I said, Holy Spirit, please just talk for me.
He's done a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, reminding me of being docile and gentle and tender. I think it's important to do that for ourselves, and then we will be able to do that for others. And thank you for the reminder of that docile spirit. And I think you exude that too. You're not just saying it. I think you actually exude that.
Thank you.
Just kind of last thing, like what words of advice would you have someone who thinks they have a struggle with anorexia or a
Oh
loved one?
my.
I mean,
I think faith is so very important. But what I've also learned, if there's saints out there who never licked their addiction, who never got rid of their addiction, but they're still a saint, that struck me hard. I was bawling over that one. Well, if you make this connection with God, then you wouldn't be addicted anymore. But it doesn't always work like that. But you can still be close to God.
mhm,
So I just think if I know my kids are connected to God, especially as adults, it's like, okay, they're yours now, Lord.
mhm.
But please, will you keep drawing them to your Sacred Heart? Will you
Yeah.
please keep doing that? His plan, his way. It's not always our way.
Yeah.
And there have been times in my life where I've had what I call a correction of thought, where I'm like, what? I'm wrong? Oh, what? What? And then, but then there's that docility that takes over, like, well, thank you. Thank you for correcting.
Yes.
Kim, your faith is so beautiful
It is.
that I think you're definitely achieving your goal of sainthood.
Oh my goodness. I want to go where
gosh.
she's going.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And I know you don't want to
Crystal.
hear that, but it's a grace that you're just trusting God, because when I've gone through tough times, I have gotten angry with God and walked away. So that's just really a grace and a gift that God has given you, and it's really beautiful. Yeah. I'm definitely glad that I know you.
And the last thing, there's a Catholic radio, someone said years ago, if God is your co-pilot, then you need to switch seats. And I love that. He's the pilot. I'm sitting there, maybe the co-pilot, maybe in the back or whatever,
Yeah.
but he's running things. And that's what we got to keep in mind. He's in control.
That surrender. I have to say, the thing that blew my mind the most is when I first started spiritual direction. I used to always say, well, I should do this and I should do that. And it took me time to realize, like, I can't do these things on my own, and learning to pray for grace to do these things, because I can't do that.
The eagerness, the overzealousness that we feel, I'm guilty of this, to please God is sometimes in our own way.
You can't do it on your own.
Yes.
So, and since I've started praying for the grace, like the graces have been flooded. So that's been amazing.
Yeah.
So.
She sounds like she's in pretty good hands with you. She really does.
Okay.
Rachel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
daughter. She's
courageous.
Well, it's been a joy having you, Kim, and I'm so glad that you agreed to come on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And have a Merry Christmas.